God.
Welcome.
Killing me.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome.
Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that. But
Episode
welcome.
3.
Yes. The dirty 30.
30. Yeah. No.
Trinity? Nah,
The
don't worry
third
about
time's the charm?
it. Yeah, I guess 3 strikes and you're out.
No. We're going with the third time's the charm.
We have a confession.
We're glad we got divorced. It's kind of funny. I guess we say it and we're laughing because, divorce has such a negative stigma attached to it. And most people are like, oh, when you tell them you got divorced, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
And we're not saying that there isn't a negative stigma attached to it.
Yeah.
It's not something that you go into a marriage looking to happen. It's
No.
not, pursue a divorce, But
That's true. And I was talking to our son, and I was telling him how divorce is so hard, or relationships are hard because it takes 2 people to decide they want to get into it, but only one person to decide they want to get out of it.
Exactly.
And so, like he was saying, it's definitely not to minimize the pain and stuff that divorce caused, and the disruption in families and all that other stuff. But what we saying,
right,
is in our case,
that we're damn sure glad it happened.
that it was celebration time. If you've ever seen the movie Brown Sugar, and remember when Tay Diggs?
No, I don't remember.
Anyway, there's one point where he's like, "What are we celebrating?" He's like, "My divorce." I can feel that.
Yes, as you're in the process of it, of course you don't feel jovial or jubilant about it at the time. It's especially when somebody else's mind is already divorced and they didn't tell you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so before we go into that, we're gonna back up 1 second and set the stage.
Okay.
So first of all, of course, in all situations, we always have to start with our disclaimer. And in this situation, our disclaimer pretty much is that we are telling this story from our point of view.
I don't necessarily.
I'm not done.
Okay.
This is from our point of view. It will involve other people, but we're telling the story from our point of view.
Okay, I'll accept that, but I also want to say that I personally don't believe in creative storytelling or alternative facts. If I'm saying something, then it's as true as it is, inshallah, as I know it can be. I don't ever try to put anything in there that's not a part of the truth.
Okay, anyway, this is the disclaimer. You don't have to describe the disclaimer so much.
But you do, because I don't people think, you said this from our point of view. Well, I thought that I was flying and
no, that's not what I mean.
Okay, I just don't want anybody to think, that we just over here making up stuff.
I think that is understood from this is our point of view, but whatever. Anyway, there's another one. Can I go into the other?
Yes.
The other disclaimer is that we will not be using any names. So we
won't try to use any names.
There will be no names and no name calling.
What?
Whatever. Okay, I'm going to leave that one alone. But we won't be using anybody's name, and that's to protect mainly our kids.
Yes.
Because it ain't for anybody else's benefit.
No, it's not.
All right.
Because we don't care.
Anyway. All right. So what I wanted to do was start by discussing the process leading up to the divorce, but not going into too much detail because
I can't wait to hear this because I'm going to follow her lead because I want to make sure I'm on the same pattern with her, because I might say some things that that probably I shouldn't say. So I'm going to let her lay the framework for me.
So anyway, what I had in mind was just okay, I had been married for 5 years. In my prior marriage, we had been separated probably half of the time we were married. And for me, I made the decision that I wanted a divorce, and it was after my son was born. And for me, it was just one of those situations where it was a very unhealthy marriage, unhappy, and I think both of us felt that way. And so So anyway, yeah, so that was the short and sweet version of the decision to get married. The politically correct,
Okay.
but that really is true though. That's
Yes.
exactly what it was. I mean, there were other elements involved in our relationship and things like that also led to a divorce. You know, there was some abuse, there was some infidelity,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And we said we was gonna be honest, so I'm being honest.
Yes.
And
We're not gonna lie to you.
no, it's just true. Like, there was just so many things that were happening in the marriage that just were not healthy. I personally, before the divorce, had went and did some individual counseling. It was supposed to be marriage counseling, but it ended up in individual. That's a whole nother story.
So sad.
But it was really good because I think it gave me the strength, even after I went back, to kind of get to that point where I was like really done.
Well, in the same vein, I was had been married to someone 6.5 years, going on 7, and as a man, I was working hard, doing just going to work every day, coming home, like they say that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So I can't say that's what it was. All I know is there was someone that was idle, and so anyway, but I was, by the time I realized that in this person's mind that they were already done, I had no idea. So, like I said, I'm going, I've got a wife and kids to feed, so I'm working every day, but Allah, our Lord, most merciful, most high, I stumbled across something. You ever had one of those things happen to you that you would never known something was happening unless it was revealed to you?
Yes.
That's what happened. Like this would have never happened. Like I would have never known anything, unless it was revealed to me. So eventually I stumbled upon something that was left up at some point, an email that kind of information that kind of led me to knowledge that this was going on. So there was information in the email. You really want to know what's in the email? No. She opened the door, right? There was information in the email.
If you want to, babe.
That this was that was that I was a joke. That it was being laughed at and saying that he should suffer and stuff like that. I'm like, but I don't understand why. I'm taking care of. At the time I had my son and 2 other boys that I considered my sons. I loved them like sons, but they weren't my biological children. Yeah. But I loved them and I cared for them the same way I did my own son. I didn't do anything for my son that I didn't do for them. I wouldn't even buy my son anything unless I bought something for them. That's just the way in my mind, that's the way you're supposed to do it. So anyway, this person had decided that they were divorced. Or they were divorced and didn't want to fill me in on it because I needed to suffer. Why, I have no idea. I've never been an abusive person. I grew up in an abusive household, and I just always promised that I would never be that person. So anyway, I think about when I actually found out about it, it was really a crushing thing for me. It was hard for me because, like I said, I'm just going to work every day. I'm coming, things weren't perfect, but I'm still doing, handling my responsibilities, paying the bills and all type of stuff, things you're supposed to do as a man, with your family. And like I said, it was a big surprise. I was at work. I was trying to go to work and it was still rough on me at work. I was, talking to my supervisors and things of that nature. And it was, like I said, it was a hectic thing. It wasn't anything that was organized. It was just chaos. It was chaos. The person ended up leaving the home, and fortunately enough, I was blessed to have my brother had moved to the city where I was in at the time, and he was there to stay with the kids while I was at work. This person left the home and wasn't with, and was with whoever, I don't know. But my brother was there with the kids to make sure he didn't have a job at the time, and he was there to stay with the kids to make sure that they were safe, that they there with the kids, to make sure that that they were available had food to eat, that walked to school, walked from school, and things of that nature. So it ended up working out in that way. At the time when you're in it, you don't realize you think this is like almost the end of the world. It's like, what is going on? Like what am I gonna do? What am I? I don't want to break the family up. Because to be honest with you, my son was my son, but the other, I didn't necessarily have any legal rights over the other kids.
So I just want to we're gonna break it up.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I think all of that's a really good point. And so that was just discussing leading up to the divorce. Right. So then we're gonna go into the divorce proceedings.
Indeed.
And so just to kind of go with my story from where he went, after the decision was made to get a divorce, I moved out with my son, and we moved to another location, and I wasn't working at the time, so it ended up being a beautiful period of time in that way, where I got to spend time with my very young child and raise him myself. And we'll talk about money later, but it was a blessing in that way. And so, like I said, I wanted to transition into the divorce proceedings. I was legally married in North Carolina, and so I wasn't working. I had no money. I couldn't hire a lawyer. And so, our parents would definitely plug Legal Shield here. So
I love it, man.
I'm sure if you've heard of Legal Shield,
yes,
but no, I mean, look, the truth is the truth, okay? Mm-hmm. So I have a Legal Shield membership, which in that case turned out to be very helpful because they helped guide me through the documents, because we didn't own any property and we didn't really have anything big, and child, what is it called? Custody and things like that is a separate thing. Right, and so our divorce was really simple. So I had to pay however much what the divorce fee was, and was able to quickly get my divorce approved. Yeah. That's just divorce. We'll talk about the other stuff in a minute.
As far as the divorce was concerned, I wasn't, it was, the actual divorce itself was easy. She was gone and I left. That's pretty much what happened. She left the house, and she just turned the kids over to me. She was like, well, she can't take care of them, so I took the kids with me, all three of them, my son and the other two. I took them with me, and I took care of them like they were my own. I continued to do that, and that was pretty much the divorce. I tried to do it in an Islamic fashion, but like I said, things that were going on at the time weren't Islamic, weren't Islamic oriented, as far as, things that were happening. So
it makes it hard to.
Right. It's kind of hard to.
That way.
It's kind of hard to be in an Islamic marriage when you're the only one that's really trying to be Islamic,
Yeah.
That so it's like, or trying to follow the tenets of the religion. So that was kind of pretty much it, as far as the divorce itself is concerned.
So for people who are not Muslim, if you're watching, then that's a very real thing. In Islam, you don't have to be married by the state. You can be married Islamically, religiously.
Right.
And so the reason I made that distinction is because I was married legally through the state, but his marriage was an Islamic marriage, which is totally valid, totally which is the most important thing for us, is that it's recognized by the masjid, the church, whatever.
First of all, marriage is not a state institution. No. It's a spiritual institution. And you can do that however you want to. We're not telling you one way or another how you should do anything. We're just saying that, as far as the state didn't create marriage, the Creator created marriage.
Yeah, and so before Brother Imam goes down this road.
No, don't do me like that.
I'm not trying to do you like that, but I did want to make that distinction, but I just don't, I trying to not keep these short, so a time crunch.
Well, are we?
Yeah, I mean,
okay, that's fine. Proceed.
Okay. All right. So then we wanted, then I put to talk about court and things like that after divorce.
Yes.
So We're probably gonna end up having to do like a part 2 of this.
Yes,
because
we
don't
definitely
have enough time.
We definitely need to do a part 2 of this. I think you all want to know more.
Yeah, I mean, so I just.
Or maybe we could be wrong, but we're still gonna tell you a little bit more.
So anyway, before we like cut it off, I want to like I guess briefly go into it. So I briefly mentioned the whole like child custody, child support situation before with the divorce, and for me, like that was like the big tornado that happened after the divorce.
Yeah.
And
yes.
So yeah, I know.
I'm gonna tell you that the divorce is one thing. All that other stuff afterwards is a whole like divorce is like.
You think you're free,
right?
You're
divorce
like,
is like the earthquake, right? You just the earth shakes, but then all the stuff that happens after the tsunamis that come in land and wipe out everything, it's just like that. It's ridiculous, especially when it comes to child custody.
Tsunamis come after her.
Yeah, when the plates shift, the water comes in and goes back in, and just.
I thought they were separate natural disasters. I didn't know they were related.
No, so that most of the time tsunamis usually happen if you're on the coast of if you're on a coastal plain, happens right after the earthquake.
We can talk about this later.
Right, but most people know that already. I think I'm not sure, but anyway. But yeah, but
don't play me like that.
I'm not trying
to be
I'm not trying to belittle you. So
anyway, so basically the just to kind of wrap it up, after the divorce for me, it was like, there was a period of calm, I guess, like after the earthquake, and then the tsunami came.
Right.
And the tsunami came in the form of my ex filing for emergency temporary custody. And then it just kind of snowballed after there. So basically, I was not under the impression, because like he's saying, we're both Muslim, and the Quran clearly states how we're supposed to deal with these matters. Right. That we were going to need to go down that road. And so basically, he opened that door when he filed for emergency temporary custody. He got denied it, but it set the stage for child support and child custody, which became a huge issue after that, because then that's where I kind of briefly mentioned before that we spent so much time in the courtroom, and I think we're probably going to have to get into that later, because we just don't have enough time, but yeah, and you definitely have dealt with your fair share of court.
I have, there's no bigger nightmare in a familial situation when you have to go to court about custody of your children, as if the court can tell you how much time you should be able to spend with your children.
Wow.
And how it's insane. And I have no love for the family court system. It's been hijacked, it's criminal, and it's crooked.
It's ruined families.
It ruins families, and I'm sure most of you already know this, but it's a terrible institution. And it's made to separate families, to break families apart. It's a terrible thing. It needs so much reform in that system. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
it does.
It's insanity. It's insanity, and especially and a big thing for that I didn't realize that at the time, because I went into court without an attorney, and then they had the hearing. I didn't have an attorney. They didn't care. Anyway, so this is the court proceedings. So this is not results. This is the court proceedings. I'm in the court without an attorney, and you can tell. If anybody knows anything about court, that was a catastrophe in itself. Yeah. Especially when the other person had an attorney. So anyway, we're gonna leave it there, because, like I said, this is a much longer story than we have time to tell at this point.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so you'll have to come back and join us, because
yes,
that's just the beginning. But just to sum it up, so for us, divorce was a blessing.
Yes.
Because regardless of all that other crap
stuff
that we discuss and all the stuff that we will discuss, divorce led us to each other.
Now, I'm not saying that I would go through that again for this situation. I'm not saying that, because that was hell.
We have that conversation all the time, and it's like, we don't regret our kids. We don't. So it's hard to say that we wouldn't.
Right.
But it was a very trying time. I went back to counseling after my divorce,
and I still need some counseling.
I've been counseling him.
Yes, she's pretty good. Not to be, not to really be.
I am not a counselor,
but she's pretty good.
I just be telling him stuff that my counselor told me. I'd be like, well, my counselor said you have to do this, this, and this. So whatever.
I think the biggest thing with men, especially men, for me, I think is the anger at how you feel about, because the family court makes you feel helpless as a man. Like you literally feel helpless because you're standing there, in any situation. Like I'm not gonna say I grew up in the streets, but I spent a lot of time in the streets, and in the streets, it's not you don't. If something like that happened, you handle it in a certain way. I'm not talking about anything lethal. I'm saying that you fight things of that nature. You handle situations. If you feel you've been wrong, then you go and you make an attempt to correct it. It's not like that in the courts. It's like, and you have to sit here and let someone tell you or do something to you that is wrong, and
it shouldn't be tied
you have to accept it
to that. Like, so we'll go into this a lot, but like we're kind of on two totally different ends of the spectrum, because the courts favor women. I mean, I can say that I'm a woman.
They do.
In my situation, it was beneficial, of course.
Family courts favor women.
Family courts favor women. And so, and there you do have some situations where women do need that help. But even me, from a person who was dealing with somebody who wasn't really trying to be what he needed to be, I still don't feel like the court should have been involved. Really, you know what I'm saying? And I was struggling to handle what I could and couldn't handle with the courts or without the courts. But at the same time, I feel it's a violation. It's kind of, it's like the fact that if, like, with child support, if it's unpaid, you can go to jail. You can't travel. You can't do this. That ain't really their business, right? Like, if y'all laid down together and decided to have a baby, then you figure out how. I don't know.
And the fact that you can go to jail for not paying child support, but it's highly unlikely that she could go to jail for not allowing you to see your children. Mm-hmm. That's an iffy thing right there. That's kind of crazy.
That don't make sense.
And the thing about it is, we were there for each other's court hearings in this matter, so we know we have firsthand knowledge of the craziness that was going on inside the courtrooms.
Yes, we've seen it. We've seen it from both sides, unfortunately. Which is also why, like, our divorce is a blessing, because our divorce was a blessing, and our relationship is a blessing, because we have literally been there for each other through some crazy stuff.
Which is the exact reason why we feel like our marriage is strong in a way that it wouldn't be if it hadn't been for the things that we've been through with each other.
Yes.
That's why I feel like we've been married like 20 years.
Yeah.
Because we've conquered and been through things that you don't go through in your first 3 years of marriage, 2 or 3 years of marriage.
It was like 1 year. We was in our first year.
I guess you're right.
It was. I'm serious.
Yeah. But we continue to go through those things even through the second and third year.
But we got hit with a very big thing.
Right.
Like, and we gotta stop. We gotta
cut it off here.
We just gotta keep on talking. We want to keep
we
talking.
Gotta stop this.
But yeah, definitely come back for episode 4. I think we're just gonna go ahead and keep this conversation going.
Right. It's gonna be a continuation of our current.
And go ahead and talk more about, like, the court and stuff like that. So thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. If you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe. I'm gonna put one right there. And like our video, share our video, and just keep all the positive vibes coming. And remember, don't you confess anything unless you're cozy. Is that a thing? No. I just figured I need something to say at the end. So, bye. Peace.